The history of currency. From barter to bits, a 3,000-year journey. You have something in your pocket that humanity took thousands of years to invent. A small, round piece of metal or paper, or nowadays, not even that, which nevertheless moves the entire world. What exactly is a coin? Was it always like this? Were there times when people paid with seashells, with salt, or with pieces of rock? Yes, all of that happened. Today we are going to explore the history of money, from its most primitive origins to our present day. Money is a collective agreement. Nothing more, nothing less. What is a coin? Definition and functions. Before diving into history, it is worth defining the concept. A coin, or any form of money, fulfills three basic functions that economists have repeated for centuries. First, a medium of exchange. It allows you to buy and sell without requiring both parties to have exactly what the other wants. Second, a unit of account. It gives you a common measure to compare the value of very different things. Third, a store of value. You can save it today and use it tomorrow, next week, or in 10 years. The fascinating thing is that anything can be money if a community decides to trust it. And that, exactly that, is what we are going to see throughout history. Barter. Before money existed, the limits of direct exchange. For tens of thousands of years, humans exchanged goods directly. I give you fish, you give me wood. That is called barter, and it works well in small communities where everyone knows each other and produces different things. But it has a huge problem. You need a double coincidence of wants. If I have wheat and want shoes, I have to find someone who has shoes and wants wheat at the exact same moment. That becomes impossible in larger societies. Fun fact, barter did not disappear completely. Today it still exists in informal economies, during times of crisis, like in Argentina in 2001, and in agreements between countries. Commodity money. Seashells, salt, and stones. The first currencies in history. The solution was to use something that everyone valued and accepted as currency. And here begins the most surprising part of this story. Cowrie shells were perhaps the most widespread money in ancient history. These small seashells were used as currency in China, India, Africa, and parts of America for thousands of years. They were difficult to counterfeit, durable, portable, and beautiful. In some regions of sub-Saharan Africa, they continued to be used until the 20th century. As a fact, in China, the written character that means money or wealth has its roots in the image of a cowrie shell. The language keeps the memory of the first money. Salt was so valuable in antiquity that Roman soldiers received part of their pay in salt. That is where the word salary comes from. It was scarce, necessary for preserving food, and easy to divide into portions. The rye stones of Yap are even stranger. On the island of Yap in the Pacific, people used massive limestone discs as currency. Some measured 3 meters in diameter and weighed tons. They did not move from their location. Everyone knew who each stone belonged to. It was money based purely and exclusively on collective trust. Other examples include cocoa in Mesoamerica, copper in the form of axes in Europe, whale teeth in Fiji, animal pelts in North America, and fabrics in various African civilizations. Metals, pieces, ingots, and the first coins. From raw metal to minted coins. Over time, metals like copper, bronze, silver, and gold became the best material for money. They were chosen because they are durable, divisible, scarce, and have an intrinsic value recognized by everyone. At first, they were not coins properly speaking. They were simply pieces or ingots of metal weighed during each transaction. If you went to the market in Mesopotamia 4,000 years ago, you carried a piece of silver and a scale. The Great Leap happened around the 7th century before Christ, in the Kingdom of Lydia, in modern-day Turkey, where the first minted coins in history appeared. They were made of electrum, a natural mixture of gold and silver, and carried an official stamp that guaranteed their weight and purity. The scale was no longer necessary. The idea expanded rapidly. Greeks, Persians, and Romans adopted the system and perfected it. Coins began to feature the face of the king or emperor. They were political propaganda as well as money. Whoever controlled the currency controlled the message. Fun fact, the word coin comes from Juno Moneta, the Roman goddess in whose temple on the capital the Roman mint operated. Paper money. China invents again. From metal to paper. Carrying gold coins is heavy and inconvenient. Chinese merchants of the Tang dynasty in the 7th century after Christ began to leave their coins deposited and received a paper certificate in return. That paper circulated as money because everyone trusted they could exchange it for real coins. In the 11th century, during the Song dynasty, the Chinese government officially issued the first banknotes in the world, the jiaozi. Europe would not know paper money until several centuries later. The modern banknote is no longer backed by gold, since the gold standard was permanently abandoned in 1971. Today it has value because the state guarantees it and we all agree to accept it. It is pure money of trust. Digital money. Numbers on a screen. The present and the future. Today, most of the money in the world does not physically exist. They are records in bank databases. When you pay with a card or transfer money, no banknote moves. Only numbers change on computers. And in recent decades, something even more radical appeared: cryptocurrencies, like Bitcoin. Money without a central bank, without a government, without paper, and without metal. Only mathematical code, and, once again, collective trust. Final reflection: from cowrie shells to Bitcoin, money has always been the same, an agreement. A piece of shared trust that allows us to cooperate on a massive scale. The form changed, not the essence.